Ever notice how some of the boldest, most unforgettable moments in gaming don't come from muscle-bound heroes, but from badass women who steal the show? Today we're diving into the top 10 best video games with female protagonists. And trust me, if you think you've seen it all, you're in for some serious surprises. Let's get into it. Ever wonder what would happen if you mixed fast-paced action, robot sidekicks, and a sun-blasted desert planet that feels like a sci-fi playground? That's ReCore in a nutshell, and honestly, it surprised me more than I expected. You step into the boots of Jewel, a tough-as-nails scavenger waking up in a world that's totally fallen apart, and it's up to you to piece together what went wrong and maybe save what's left. What makes this game click is how smooth and satisfying the movement feels. Double jumps, air dashes, and combat that pops with color as you swap between weapons to match enemy cores. And then there's the core bots. Yeah, your robotic buddies aren't just for show. They help in fights, solve puzzles, and even evolve over time, which adds this cool layer of strategy to the chaos. The world feels lonely, but alive, like it's holding on to secrets just waiting to be uncovered. And there's this subtle Metroidvania vibe, where backtracking with new upgrades actually feels rewarding. It might not have had a massive spotlight when it launched, but trust me, if you're into games with heart, momentum, and a little bit of mystery, ReCore is well worth digging into. You ever play a game that just grabs you from the first 5 minutes and doesn't let go? That's exactly what Tomb Raider 2013 does. It drops you into this brutal, storm-ravaged island and throws you headfirst into the chaos alongside a younger, way more vulnerable version of Lara Croft. And watching her evolve from a stranded survivor into a fearless force is honestly one of the best parts. The game hits this perfect balance of exploration, climbing, puzzle solving, and intense combat, all wrapped in this gritty atmosphere that makes every cave and cliffside feel dangerous and alive. You've got tight controls, super satisfying bow mechanics, and these creepy overgrown ruins that make you want to peek around every corner just to see what's hidden. And it's not all action, there are quieter moments too, where you're just soaking in the world or figuring out how to get to some tucked away relic. It's cinematic, sure, but never at the cost of gameplay, and by the end, you really feel like you've been through something with Lara. If you've somehow skipped this one, now's the time. It's still one of the most gripping adventure games out there, hands down.
Gotta go check in. Need anything? Nah, I'm good.
You ever fire up a game just to check it out and suddenly realize you've been glued to it for hours, completely hooked? That was me with Horizon Zero Dawn, this wild mix of open-world exploration, crazy futuristic machines, and a main character who just doesn't quit. You play as Aloy, a hunter with a bow and a whole lot of questions, trying to survive in this world where nature's taken over, but somehow giant mechanical beasts roam the land like dinosaurs from the future. The way combat works is super satisfying. Every machine has weak spots, and taking them down feels like solving a puzzle with traps, tricks, and perfectly timed shots. The world itself is absolutely gorgeous, with snowy mountains, deep forests, and old ruins that hint at a civilization long gone. There's this sense of mystery that keeps pulling you forward, making you want to learn more, explore more, and loot everything that glows. It's not just about action either. The story goes deeper than you expect, with twists that hit hard and a cast of characters that actually stick with you. If you're into games that combine beautiful worlds with satisfying gameplay and a bit of emotional punch, this one's a no-brainer. You've got to give it a go. You know that feeling when a game doesn't just tell a story, it pulls you into it, messes with your head, and leaves you thinking about it long after it's over. That's exactly what Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice does, and man, it's something else. You play as Senua, this fierce warrior, on a haunting journey through a world that feels torn between myth and madness. And the way the game blends psychological depth with intense atmosphere is honestly like nothing else I've played. It's not your usual hack and slash, yeah, there's combat, and it's brutal and weighty when it hits, but most of the experience is about solving these eerie puzzles, navigating surreal landscapes, and being fully inside Senua's mind as she pushes through grief, trauma, and voices that never let up. And speaking of voices, wear headphones. Trust me, the 3D audio in this game isn't just a gimmick, it completely changes how you feel while playing. The visuals are insanely detailed, like every frame feels handcrafted, and there's this constant sense of dread and beauty fighting for control. It's not a long game, but it sticks with you in the best kind of way, emotional, raw, and way more powerful than you'd expect going in. If you're looking for something that hits different and isn't afraid to get under your skin, this one's a must play. You ever jump into a game expecting weird and then realize you had no idea how weird things were gonna get? That's exactly what happened to me with Control, and honestly, I loved every second of it. You play as Jesse, who strolls into this creepy government building looking for answers and ends up becoming the boss of a place that feels like it's alive, shifting around you like it's got a mind of its own. The whole vibe is this awesome mix of sci-fi mystery and supernatural chaos, with floating enemies, telekinetic powers, and rooms that literally reshape while you're standing in them. Combat feels incredible. Throwing chunks of concrete at enemies with your mind never gets old, and your weapon. Yeah, it's not just a gun, it's this strange, shape-shifting tool that evolves as you go. But it's not just about blasting things. The story is layered, the atmosphere is thick, and the deeper you go, the more you feel like you've stepped into some classified dimension you were never supposed to see. Visually, it's stunning, clean, sharp, and constantly messing with your sense of space. If you like your games a little strange, super stylish, and packed with what just happened moments, Control is one of those rare gems that totally delivers.
The same gun. Now I have a gun.
You know that rush you get when a game just goes completely over the top in the best way possible and somehow makes it all feel smooth, stylish, and ridiculously fun. That's Bayonetta 2 in a nutshell. It throws you straight into this non-stop roller coaster of chaos, with fast-paced combat that feels like you're dancing through a storm of blades, bullets, and magical madness. You're pulling off crazy combos, dodging at the last second to slow time, summoning massive creatures mid-fight. It's wild, but never overwhelming, because the controls are so tight it's like the game reads your mind. The environments are a total trip too, flipping between towering cities, strange dimensions, and boss fights that feel like they belong at the end of most games. Except here, they happen in the first hour. And let's be real, Bayonetta herself steals the show every time she's on screen, with this sharp wit and fearless attitude that makes every cutscene a blast. It's the kind of game that doesn't take itself too seriously, but still delivers seriously good gameplay. And if you've got even the slightest love for action games, this one's an absolute blast from start to finish. You ever finish a game and just sit there staring at the screen, trying to process everything you just went through? That was me with NieR Automata. It's one of those rare games that completely pulls you in with its wild combat, then quietly hits you with questions about existence, purpose, and what it even means to be alive. You play as 2B, an android soldier in a war that's been going on way too long, but the deeper you go, the more everything starts to blur: who's right, who's wrong, and whether anything still makes sense. The gameplay is a blast, super fluid, fast-paced, and constantly shifting between styles like it's showing off, from third-person hack and slash to top-down shooting without skipping a beat. And the world? It's beautiful in a broken kind of way, open, lonely, and filled with these haunting ruins and odd little moments that make you stop and just soak it all in. What really got me, though, was how the story keeps evolving. You think it's over, and then boom, new perspective, new truth, and suddenly you're rethinking everything. It's not just a game, it's an experience that sticks with you, especially if you're into deep stories wrapped in slick action, and a world that feels like it's trying to tell you something without saying it out loud. You ever play a game that makes you question if you're improving, or just losing your mind in the best possible way? That's Returnal. It throws you into this looping nightmare where every death resets the world. But somehow you keep getting better, faster, sharper with each run. You're Selena, crash-landed on a bizarre alien planet that's as eerie as it is beautiful, and nothing ever plays out the same way twice. The action is super tight. Dodging enemy bullets feels like dancing through a storm of neon. And the combat is so snappy and responsive that every fight gets your heart pumping. What makes it really stand out is how smooth the gameplay loop feels. You die, yeah, but the game never wastes your time. Every run teaches you something, gives you something new to experiment with, and before you know it, you're blazing through rooms that used to wreck you. Add in this weird, haunting atmosphere, shifting environments, cryptic story pieces, and just enough psychological weirdness to keep you hooked. And Returnal turns into this intense, addictive challenge that's hard to put down. If you're into games that test your reflexes, mess with your head a little, and reward every bit of effort you put in, this one's absolutely worth diving into. You ever finish a game and feel like you just lived through a full-blown emotional storm? Like you need a moment to breathe and just process what happened? That's exactly the kind of ride The Last of Us Part 2 takes you on. It's brutal, raw, and doesn't pull any punches, but that's what makes it unforgettable. You're dropped into this world that's been ripped apart, not just by the infected, but by grief, revenge, and choices that never have easy answers. The gameplay hits hard. Stealth and combat feels super intense and grounded, and every move you make matters because resources are tight and every fight feels personal. Visually, it's insane how detailed everything is. From quiet forest paths to decaying city streets, it all feels lived in and real. What really pulls you in, though, is how the game messes with perspective, forcing you to see things from angles you didn't expect, and it makes you question your own decisions as the story unfolds. It's not just about surviving, it's about what survival costs. And whether you end up loving or wrestling with some of the choices, you can't deny how bold the whole experience is. If you're up for a game that pushes you emotionally, challenges you narratively, and sticks with you long after the credits roll, this one's an absolute must.
Well, let's do our job so we can go back and eat, okay? No way we're finding her before scars are infected.
You ever play something that feels more like surviving a beautiful nightmare than just beating levels? That's exactly what A Plague Tale Requiem delivers. It's heavy, emotional, and somehow still absolutely stunning to look at. You're back with Amisha and Hugo, and this time the stakes feel even more intense. Like every step forward could crack you emotionally or get you swallowed by a sea of rats, yeah, literal waves of them. The gameplay keeps that tense stealth vibe where you're always one wrong move away from disaster, but it gives you more tools and freedom this time around, which makes slipping past enemies or fighting back feel so much more satisfying. The world they've built is gorgeous and grim all at once. Sun-drenched countrysides, ruined cities, and these surreal, horrifying moments that sneak up on you when you least expect it. But what really got me was the bond between the characters. It's not just story for story's sake, it hits you right in the gut, and the performances make everything feel raw and real. If you're into games that blend emotional storytelling with tense, methodical gameplay and visuals that'll leave you staring at the screen even when nothing's happening, Requiem is absolutely worth every minute.
They're smiling. She is.
It's not your fault.
How can you be so sure?
You can't control what happens in his blood. The macula...
Alright, that's gonna do it for this one. Hope you had as much fun going through these awesome games as I did putting together this list of the top 10 best video games with female protagonists. Honestly, it's just cool seeing how far storytelling and character depth have come in gaming. You know, if you've got a favorite that didn't make the cut, drop it in the comments. I always love hearing what other people are playing. And hey, if you enjoyed hanging out, feel free to hit that like button, maybe subscribe if you haven't already, no pressure. Thanks for watching, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next one.